Here we see the Hillsworth students in their natural habitats. Watch as they engage each other in polite conversation.
We live in a society based on the smooth running of all things technology. Our day-to-day lives are solely based on technology, and if there was a problem, the world would be in chaos. If the world were to go unplugged for a day, where would we be?
Isn't it shocking that 2/3 of the cell phone users say they cannot live without their devices? You're probably not surprised. 89% of smartphone users use their cell phones on an everyday basis. This wasn't the case when it all began. Cell phones were created for a sole purpose: communication. The earliest cell phones were too large and cumbersome. It was nicknamed car phones due to their size. The cell phone has evolved tremendously since 1973. As of 2011, 80% of the world population has a mobile phone. 1.08 billion users have a smartphone, and out of that, there are 91.4 million smartphone users just in the US alone. Smartphone users use their mobile phone to either text messages or browse the internet, look at their emails and social media, and play games.
I'd probably lose myself, a piece of myself. I am my phone. My phone is me. We are one.
I'd probably do a lot better in school.
I have no idea. I need my phone. I know it sounds really horrible, but I need to stay in touch with people.
I have my phone. I don't think I'd be able to function.
Cry.
Vine or Instagram, Twitter app.
Twitter.
I use Twitter the most.
Vine. Instagram.
Instagram or YouTube.
Instagram.
It keeps me connected to the universe.
I'm able to communicate with other people.
Gives me something to do, or like if I don't want to talk to people sometimes, I just pull out my phone. It's an instant way of communicating.
Would you give up your non-diamond hand just to have your phone?
No. Oh, left hand, for sure. It's not my right hand, so.
No, probably not.
Probably not. I kind of need my hand.
No, I love my hand. I love my phone, but I like my hand so much more.
Ever since the World Wide Web was established in 1991, society has changed dramatically. Living in the 21st century has perks, but it also has its downfalls. Having everything available at the touch of a finger is how people now live their lives. We have become so reliant on the internet that if it were to disappear, the world would be in major trouble. As of 2013, there were over 2.4 billion internet users worldwide, and 70% use the internet every day. The internet is our lifeline to the world, so what if one day the World Wide Web crashed? How many hours per day do you spend on the internet?
3 hours.
But if I don't have any like sports or anything, probably like 3 to 4 hours. 3 hours.
Practically all day.
Probably like 4 hours.
Like 5 hours. 5 to 6 hours.
Do you think it's reasonable?
No, should probably be doing other things.
Yeah, it's not bad. A lot of teenagers use that now.
I guess so, because I spend my time looking at videos for like math and science.
I mean, it has some negative effects, but you know, the internet is also useful.
I think it's fine.
No, not at all. I'm not doing my work. I'm just doing, like, watching YouTube videos and being stupid online.
One of the major reasons for the constant usage of the internet is social networking. Social networking users spend on average 3.2 hours a day browsing social media websites. Since the establishment of Facebook in 2004, over 1.1 billion people have joined. The amount of time that these users spend on Facebook combined is 10.5 billion minutes per day, which translate to about 20,000 years. This past year, Twitter and Instagram have risen in popularity among social media users, with Twitter topping out at 50 million users and Instagram with 100 million. The social media scene is continuing to expand, and it is not ready to slow down anytime in the near future. When we asked the Hills West community what their favorite thing to do online was, these were the following results. Every day, 3/4 of the world's population wakes up around the world, and they all use power throughout their day. Whether it's a street vendor in New York checking the day's weather on their cell phone, a businessman in Paris waking up and turning on his bedroom light, or a high school student like us waking up to the sound of their favorite song blasting from their laptop alarm. Everyone uses different versions of the same technology. Thanks to Benjamin Franklin's experiments and Thomas Edison's expansion, our society has been able to develop. An average house holds about 40 possible electrical sockets for technology use, which shows how many people rely on its working. Just to put it in perspective, Times Square alone, as predicted by Con Ed, uses 161 megawatts at any given time. 1 megawatt can power about 1,000 homes, so that's about 161,000 non-energy conserving homes that could be powered. When asked about Hurricane Sandy, most of the East Coast will groan and begin to express their hatred of the dark world they lived in while waiting for the electricity company to come and bail them out. Asking someone to live without electricity for a day is out of the question, but the students of Hills West gave their experience of living in the dark and being out of touch with the world when Sandy hit. During Hurricane Sandy, how long were you without power?
I lost power for 1 week.
2 weeks.
Like 5 days.
I think 5 days. About 3 days.
What was the worst part about Hurricane Sandy?
Oh, not having Wi-Fi was horrible.
I had no Wi-Fi. I had to go to the mall to get my Wi-Fi.
All the service went out, so I couldn't use my cell phone, and also that there was no power, so I couldn't take a warm shower. That was probably the worst.
Not being able to see the news or anything.
What did you do in the dark during Sandy?
I basically just slept. There was nothing else to do.
I actually read a book, and I also slept a lot.
My family, we stayed at a hotel one night, so we take showers, so we didn't have hot water.
I lit some candles and I played a lot of board games with my friends.
Like drew pictures with my little sister in candlelight, but it wasn't the same as having my phone. I slept because I couldn't really do anything really.
The whole theory of going unplugged may seem utterly ridiculous to some. However, when we face the fact of reality, it really is impossible given our modern world to live without technology. The loss of any source of communication or connection to the world may prove that without technology, we wouldn't be able to achieve greatness. Breaking ground in the large abyss of this topic, we realize that although electricity, the cell phone, and internet may be the greatest tools we currently have access to, it is best at times to leave them behind and venture out into the real world.